Hello and welcome to another 6 Sages gaming video. Today I have for you some very exciting news and some teasers for the upcoming Opus 3 starter decks. Now these are coming out June 9th, that has been confirmed. Again, pardon any delays or whatever might happen, but that's what it's slated for, so fingers crossed on that happening. These will be immediately playable in events, so you get them on, I think it's a Friday, hopefully it's a Friday. Get them on Friday, open them up, play them in the event at your locals immediately away. The thing that's in question though is Opus 3 is also supposed to have Final Fantasy 9 and Type-0 support, but we won't have that for another month. So we don't really know how playable these are going to be, out the gate, because they are very heavily focused on the tribal theme of those decks. Now, a little note here that has been confirmed on the Japan site, so we are still waiting to see what kind of rules come out for the other regions. I'm assuming they're all going to be the same, but we can't confirm that. Always ask your tournament organizer. So if you're watching this from the UK, this is probably relevant to you and no one else that's watching this, or if you're in Europe or up that region. I don't know if it's one to you or what have you. So set legality. When a set comes out, there's going to be a different period of time to when it's finally legal. For example, in Pokemon they do this 2 weeks rule, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. So if you're at a regional qualifier event, so I'm just using the UK as a basis because that's what I know the most about. If you're going to one of those shop tournaments, there's going to be a 1 week delay on the product. So let's say in some world that a new set drops on Friday and the tournament is on Saturday, it will not be legal for that tournament. Again, please verify with your TO because the final decision is of course up to them. And then for world qualifiers, there's going to be a 2 week delay. So this is going to be anything like nationals in that case. So I don't think this affects anyone in the United States at all, but some other regions will absolutely be impacted by this. But that's enough about all those things. I know we just want to get to seeing some cards. So up first we have Zidane, and yeah, I'm a bit salty because the other version was way better, and I was really hoping we'd just see that card again, maybe in a future Opus set. It was basically you get to look at your opponent's card, discard a card from their hand of your choice, and then he gets plus, I think it's plus 4,000, something absurd if they only have 2 cards or less in hand. So I really wanted to play it in an ice deck. That said, you might be aware that the Final Fantasy 9 starter deck is Fire Water, if I'm not mistaken. So this fills the light spot, and it does have a lot of different utility. Now, I really think this card is going to come down to 2 factors, and understand that we are getting it before Opus 3. What other light cards does your deck want? Because that's going to have a huge impact, of course. And then how good is Final Fantasy 9 in terms of what the deck is going to be doing? Now, I really like this card. If it's going to cost 2, I think that's absolutely something you want to be playing. But as a 3 of, it's probably just okay. Again, I want to put this in the context of what the Final Fantasy 9 cards are going to do specifically, so it does leave a little bit to be desired. Now, again, what I do love about this card is a 3-drop 7K, so that's okay, but it has modes. You either get to draw a card, your opponent discards a card, or activate all Category 9 characters. I want to stress that again, that it does say characters, not just forwards, so we don't know how many backups of FF9 that we're going to get and what have you, but I think that's a very interesting note there that they made it characters and not just forwards based on what we've seen so far. So I really hope this card sees play. I really hope the Final Fantasy 9 deck is good, but we haven't really seen a playable Fire Water deck yet, so we shall see. Finally, we have Amaranth or Salamander, as some people always refer to them as. This is what's super exciting. We're finally getting alternate art cards. Now, the downside is, if the website was correct with this information, was on just FF Trading Card Game, the starter version, which I have on the right here, won't actually have a foil parallel to it, because you'll get the card on the left in the starters normally, or I'm sorry, in the Opus 3 normally, but will we see both foil versions? They made it sound like that we won't, so I'm really hoping we do, because that'd be the smart move by Square Enix to make a foil version of both available, but what have you. So 5-drop 9K, already very competitive with things such as Xande and Tifa in that element, but he does have a very interesting effect. You get to put one of your forwards, so again, anytime it says put, it means something of your own. Put a forward into the break zone, choose a forward, deal it damage equal to the power of what you just sacrificed off. So, of course, the main thing that a lot of people immediately caught on was to play him with the Fire Emperor. attack with Emperor. He's going to be a 9 or 10k even. Obviously, they're not going to block, or if they do, they lose something. Then you're going to fling him at your opponent, get rid of another thing. It definitely has potential. That said, where I would really like to see this card is actually in Fire Ice, because you can play then a mostly Ice deck with Fire support. You can still run things like Bahamut. And if anyone who's played Ice for any period of time knows that there's many games where you're just stuck with a Squall in hand. And what I'd love to do is a turn such that play Squall, make your opponent discard 2, fling it, kill one of your opponent's guys, devout it back, make them discard 2 more. So yes, you're losing 2 cards yourself in the process, but maybe you have extra light cards you want to get rid of. Obviously, you're only making that play if there's cards you don't care about to get rid of, but super effective at nuking your opponent's hand and removing their best cards. So I really like this in Fire Ice. And then, of course, there's the whole sacrificing Runoa play. There's just a lot you can be doing with this. I think it was Matt of the other Matt with 6 Ages. You know, it's like, we could fling Golbez with this if we really wanted to, and you certainly could. So I think this is a card that it might be a 1 to 2 of in some decks, but I think that as we get more cards that have, as they enter the break zone effects, it certainly helps out his playability. And this is Steiner now. I do apologize for the quality of this one. This was grabbed off one of the streams, and I really wanted to just give you an idea of all the cards we've seen so far, since I think it will be a little bit before we see any more spoilers. So a 5-drop 6k, which is super underwhelming, but is an EX burst. When he enters the field, you may search for 1 category 9 character. So again, they're pushing this character note, which, come on, Vivi's going to be a backup. I think everyone understand that that's a given. So that's also really cool. And then if you control a category 9 character other than Steiner, it gains plus 1,000 power. So, okay, I get it. You play him for 5, you get a card back. He's technically a 3-drop in that case, and he becomes a 7k. So how good is Vivi going to be? That is really the question that we're all going to be wondering, outside, of course, of how good is Fire Water, which always leaves a lot to be determined. We're going to be testing later today, and hopefully it does well. But Fire Water has just always been in this kind of a step behind type of deck. So I'm really hoping Final Fantasy IX can help push that forward. So interesting card. All depends on the playability of the starters, and of course whatever we see in Opus 3. And then our last for the FF9 is Garnet. When it enters the field, you may search for 1 water summon with cost 2 or less and cast it without paying its cost. Otherwise, you just discard it. So 3-drop 5k, not that great, but again, it is Final Fantasy 9, so it does combo with the other cards we've previously mentioned. Right now, it's super underwhelming, but I have to imagine that we will be seeing another 2-cost water summon within the starter deck. So, and I'm assuming they're going to be pushing more Opus 3, so we might be getting those cards early. Otherwise, you're really just looking at Leviathan, 1-drop Leviathan, or 2-drop Fairy. And that kind of bums me out. So I would expect more from this card as we get Opus 3. And then we have Type-0. So Ace is something that is super exciting, but it does have a caveat, which we'll talk about at the end. So enters the field, you need to play a forward, and of course this is all going to be the job class 0 cadet, mind you, from your hand. So I want to stress it again. Enters the field, you may play 1 job class 0 cadet forward from your hand onto the field. It's not restricted by cost. So I read this questionably the first time, and then we looked at some of the Japanese cards from the older set, which we'll comment on that in a minute as well. There are some 4 and 5 drops. So if that's the case, I think Ace was the 5-drop if I remember, so obviously you couldn't play that, but this could be a very powerful card in terms of just flooding the field. And of course, that's what the deck wants to do anyways, so this is going to be an amazing card for the Type-0 deck. I do very strongly feel that if we're to compare this and say Zidane to what they do in each one of the decks, Ace is infinitely better in basically every single way possible. And then of course he gets the other effect. So when he leaves, you get another job class 0 cadet forward from the break zone added to your hand. Obviously it can't be him because then you can just do looping shenanigans. So this guy, he brings someone with him, he brings someone back from you. It's an insane card. And again, so understanding that most of them are probably gonna be around 2 or 3 drops anyway, so he's really a 3 to 4 drop, what have you. 7k is fine because the deck is, again, all about swarming the board and getting some, maybe use a combat trick to pump them all. And then we have Rem again here with different art. So on the right is going to be the starter version. EX Burst, very noteworthy here, that is Wind. So the deck for Type-0 is Wind Lightning, which I'm super excited for because we haven't seen that combination a lot either. So I'm really interested to see which direction that they take this. Enters the field, choose one category Type-0 from your break zone. So that's something that caught a lot of people off guard. It's not a tutor per se, it's just from your break zone. So it's a questionable stage, but it has an EX Burst, Lightning stage for the record. I do like it. That's no small note there. And again, you have to understand that it does have the Class 0 Cadet, so that's going to have some impact as well. And then again, just with the whole tribal theme. So we might see some focus on Type-0, so maybe we can tutor it up. We don't know what that is going to look like yet, so really excited to see what direction that this is going to go in. And then lastly, we have Queen. So Job Class 0 Cadet Forwards. So this is where they do have the one interesting note. This one specifically says Forwards, where we had it as the backup for Rem. So we'll see what the overlap there is going to be like. Queen, 2-drop EX Burst, 4K. Power's a little bit low, but when she enters a field, choose an opponent for your opponent controls. If you have 2 or more the same job, dole it. 5 or more, break it. So 5 is really expensive, guys. Like even with Ace bringing in a buddy with him, it's going to be a little difficult. And then the last note I have here is, will they stay focused around 2 colors this time? Because if we look back to the Japan series, I think each color had 3 to 6 of the different cards, so it was very split into this more rainbow type of design. And if that's going to be the case, it's going to be a little bit difficult to make this deck work. Of course, you can always do things like Cosmos and Chaos and Shantoto and all these other cards that can give you filtering options. Maybe you're playing Devout and you're going to use the ice cards, then Devout off-color elements back into play, what have you. So that is all we have for the spoilers today. And again, if you guys haven't already, I want to give a quick shout out to Cards of Avalis. The website is selling some amazing singles. They open up a shop and it's just a great resource if you still need some cards. So please make sure to check them out. And of course, if you haven't already, we do have a ton of people that are selling cards in the Final Fantasy marketplace on Facebook. And then lastly, we did hear that Opus 1 is going to be confirmed for mid-May, and I've talked to 2 different stores now who are getting 6 cases of product, so 36 boxes, which makes me very happy and very, the future is looking very promising, and I know that those boxes are going to go through like hotcakes. So get them while you can, and make sure to be asking your local game shop about it so they can give you a box and hopefully maybe pre-order it and help them out as well. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you liked that teaser into the Final Fantasy IX and Type-0 starter decks that we are going to be getting on June 9th. I think that it's going to be very exciting to see these more tribal focused decks again. Hopefully they will be good before Opus 3, but I think they're going to be getting most of their support in the Opus 3 set. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff for more Final Fantasy trading card game content, and we'll catch you in the next 6 Sages Gaming video. Have a good one.